Let's learn how to work with the dictionary data structure. Now, the dictionary data structure is really powerful, and the cool thing about it is that it uses what they call a key value pair. In the list structure, you accessed an element through an index or a numerical value, an ordinal position. And list were zero base, so the first element was stored in position 0, the second element 1, and so forth. In sets, you couldn't even access the elements because they were unordered. A tuple you could access through a position, but dictionaries aren't using positions. They're using a key. In other words, you're specifying the name or the number or the something where an item is stored inside of the dictionary data structure. And when you store the item, that's actually called the value. The value could be a string, an int, a float, boolean, anything, even an object, even another list. But the key is what you use to get to or access the value for that item. So let's learn how to create a dictionary. We're going to create a program that actually works with the class because we're going to store a dictionary of objects. Let's create a new file and let's do a file save as, and we'll call it practice dictionary.py. And here's the class that we're going to work with. It's going to be a driver class, meaning someone that drives a car. And we have our constructor that receives two parameters, and we assign those parameters to the instance variables first name and last name. And then I went ahead and initialized an instance variable called num tickets, and I set it equal to 0. And this program is going to allow us to work with the dictionary. And so let's go ahead and create our dictionary. I did a DCT, you can do a DICT, DT, whatever you use for a standard. You don't even have to use that, but I like to do it because it makes it more readable. Now, if you notice, for a dictionary, not square brackets, not parentheses, not set parentheses, but two curly braces. That means it's a dictionary. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to prompt the user to enter in the number of drivers that they want to type into the keyboard. And then we're going to make sure we convert that to an int because everything comes back as a string. For the number of drivers they just entered in, we want to have a loop that starts at 0 up to the number of drivers. And in that loop, we want to do the following. We want to get some data. We want to get the driver's license number, which is an integer, the first name, and the last name. And we want to store those two variables also. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to access the dictionary, and we need to specify the name of the key or the value of the key. You can use anything you want. You could use a count, you could use a string, you could use a combination of their first name, last name. You get to choose what this key is, but it needs to be unique. And so I'm going to use their driver's license number. So this actually says whatever value is stored in the driver's license number becomes the key to access the item in the dictionary. And this is how you add an item. You simply assign it a value. We're going to assign it a brand new driver object. That'll call the constructor and pass those parameters, load up the attributes, return a driver object, and assign it to the dictionary in the key that equals their driver's license number. Now, the reason I like that is because that driver's license number is unique to them and they know what it is. And so now what we could do is in our program, we could say, what's the ID of the driver that just received a ticket? Let's say they came in to the Division of Motor Vehicles and they have a ticket. And so they said, what's your driver's license number? And so we type in their number and we convert it to an integer. And then while they're there, we say, how many tickets did you receive? And we're going to call that inum tickets. And now they're going to type in the number of tickets they actually received. Make sure you have the parentheses, that we have no red lines. Now that we have their ID, we can go search the dictionary, just like we have using the list and the tuple, where we said if the key having this value is in the driver, because we're searching for keys in the driver. If I found the driver, then that means I have the object. So I'm going to go to that position in the dictionary, which remember was a driver object right here. And I'm going to access the number of tickets, and I'm going to add however many more tickets they received. If you haven't seen that symbol before, that's just a shortcut to do this. A lot less typing, especially when you have big, long variable names and data structures. You have a plus equal, you have a minus equal, a times equal, and the nice thing is it does the addition and then stores it back. Now that we added the number of tickets to that object, now what we can do is we could access that object again through the key, which gives me the driver object, and then we access their number of tickets. And if we say they have more than 3 tickets, then in our happy world, we say we're going to delete that item. So once again, you use that key to get to the item in the dictionary. We print the first name object, and then here's how you remove an item in the dictionary. You simply say pop, and you specify the key. Similar to the list. The list you said pop and you specified the index. Or remember, a key in a dictionary acts like an index. So this is a way you can access an item in the dictionary through the key. And then we're just going to print the dictionary. So let's save this and run this, see what happens. So let's run our program, Python practice dictionary.py. How many drivers? 3 of them. Driver's license number 100. First name is John. Last name Doe. Next one, 200. Mary Lamb. Next one, we'll do 300. Jose Contreras. Enter the ID of the driver that just received the ticket. John Doe walks in. We enter his key, which is his driver's license number. How many tickets? He's been a bad driver. 5 tickets. John will be deleted. So we just deleted John. And then if you notice, we said print the dictionary. Look what it's printing. The key, and here's the value, which is an object. The key and the value, an object. So now if you want to actually print out those objects, you would need to come back over to here, and rather than just printing the dictionary, you'd need to do a loop. So I can't just print the dictionary. You will see the keys, but you won't see the data if it's an object. Now, if it was just regular string data, ints, floats, you'd see the key and the value. But since we have a dictionary of objects, we need to actually do a loop. Now, the way we do that is we say, let's use the dictionary and then the items method. This will actually pull out each item from the dictionary one at a time. And remember, each item in the dictionary is made up of a key and a value. I actually called these variables key and value. I could have called it X and Y, A and B, whatever. I like to call key and value, or maybe I should use the word object because that's really an object, isn't it? Now the problem with saying object is we have a class called object. That's our base class. So what if instead I said iKey and O driver, because the key is a numeric and the driver is an object. Now what I can do is I can actually just have a print statement. And in that print statement, we'll say print, and we need to convert iKey because we're going to concatenate it. And we'll concatenate it with a colon symbol. We could concatenate it with anything. And then we'll say O driver dot. Now the problem is this, the system doesn't really understand you have a dictionary of objects. So you're just going to have to remember what your object is. And we knew that the attribute was first name. And if you don't remember, just go on up and look at the class. So for every item in the dictionary, extract the item that has a key value pair, print the key, print the value, which is an object, so let's print the attribute for that object. Let's save that, let's run it, and let's see if it works. Python practice dictionary.py, we'll do 3 drivers. Driver's license 100 is John Doe. License for the next one, 200, Mary Lamb. The next one is 300, Jose Contreras. What's the driver that got the ticket? John Doe. How many? 5 of them. Bad driver. Enter. And now we print off the key and the value. And we could have printed off the last name, the number of tickets, anything you want. But remember, by using this for loop, it says go to the dictionary, pull the items out one at a time. Each item is made up of a key and a value. And in this case, the key is an integer and the value was an object because we stored objects to the dictionary. And since it's an object, we access the attributes. And that's how you can work with the dictionary.